Hello everyone, a very good afternoon to you all. My name is Praxis and welcome to ABP Education. Today is our next webinar in the Campus to Career series. And before I talk about the webinar today and introduce the moderator, let me tell you a bit about abpeducation.com. abpeducation.com is powered by the Telegraph Online and Anandabazar.com. And it is basically a portal that deals in news about higher education. So everything that happens in the world of higher education is reported on here, including global universities abroad are also covered by abpeducation.com. And now talking about the Campus to Career series, it started on August 12th with the Bengal Education Leaders Summit. And it was attended by Mr. Partho Chatterjee, the State Education Minister. And now, today's subject of the webinar is cybersecurity and ethical hacking, computer careers that will grow. And with that, I'd like to introduce the moderator of the session today, Nirupam Sen, Business Head East, British Standards Group, Certified Lead Auditor in Information Security, IT Service Management, and Quality Management. He has over 20 years of industry experience. With that, I'd like to hand over the session to Mr. Nirupam Sen. Have a great one, sir.
Thank you very much, Prabjit. Thank you, ABP Education, for inviting me to this panel. We are discussing a very important topic today, which is cybersecurity and ethical hacking, computer careers that will grow. I understand that the audience here is kind of mixed. We have the parents, we have the students, we have the normal audience as well from the household. So what we'll do is we'll try and pace our session accordingly. And we'll try to put in as many questions as possible, which may be related to an organizational context, which may be related to a student context, which may be related to careers, or which may be related to just cybersecurity as a whole. That is, how do you secure your mobile devices, etc. So this is to set the context. Let me just introduce the panelists that we have with us here today. Professor Shomi Mukherjee is the head of the Department of Engineering and Technology, VR, AR, MR, and XR, Makaut. Welcome, Shomita. Professor Jaideep Sen is the professor of Praxis Business School. He's primarily dealing with computer science and technology, so I'm sure he'll share his views as well related to cybersecurity. Akash Agarwal, welcome, Professor Jaideep Sen. Akash Agarwal is the regional director, IMEA of EC Council. Welcome, Akash. We have here with us today. Thanks. We have here with us today Gleboy Oleg, who's the International Business Development Executive, Space and Technology Center Company. Welcome, Oleg. We have also here with us today Mr. Kaushik Nath, who's the Security Architect of Cisco Systems. Welcome, Kaushik.
Thank you.
The sixth participant here in the panel today is Colonel Indrajit Singh, who's the Chief Cybersecurity Officer of Vara Technologies. Welcome, Colonel Singh.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Yeah, good afternoon. So I'll start the panel with each one of you. What I'll do is let's start generally on the topic. With 2020 setting in effective March 2020, we went into a lockdown. And I was just reading a WhatsApp forward wherein the three most asked questions this year have been, when will the pandemic end? Am I audible? And can you see my screen? So these are the three things that have happened post the pandemic primarily. So I would just like to all of you to address this topic of the pandemic as to how has the world changed post this pandemic? Is the change here to stay? And how should we adopt to the new normal, what we are calling as the new normal post-pandemic? So I'll start with Professor Jaideep Sen. If you can just share your introduction in 2 lines about your experience and then just talk about the topic in general.
Thank you, Nirupam. And it's my pleasure to talk in this event. I am Jaideep Sen. I teach in Praxis Business School. I'm a professor of machine learning and artificial intelligence. Of course, cybersecurity is also one of my forte. And coming to the topic of new normal and pandemic post-COVID, Yes, a lot of changes have happened. Education especially has gone into online. There is no longer, physical classes. Second thing that I can say is, say for example, manufacturing industry has to go more into smart manufacturing, automated manufacturing. Then social gathering and all these things have become virtual, right? Events, say for example, conferences, knowledge sharing sessions, all have become virtual because of this extraordinary situation that has happened. Then government activities have become more into e-governments, so more emphasis on e-governance. And there comes the digital deliveries, right? The no longer things are in physical mode, so services are in delivery. Services are delivered digitally. Services are delivered online. Whether it is education, whether it is some IT services or whatever, the things are becoming more and more online, and that's why today's topic is more relevant, because as you have got a delivery infrastructure which is more and more digital, that means that has to be more reliable, that has to be more secure, and that has to be also more, what I can say, fail proof, right? So those are the challenges that has come. That will, of course, here to stay for some time. Taking to your question, I don't think that situation is going to go back to what pre-COVID situation in a very near future in a future of time. And more importantly, I see more importance of India because I see that there is a change and the mindset. There is a policy change that is happening. More make in India kind of stuff happening. So self-reliance. So if I talk about from Indian perspective, there is also a change. I can see in the global perspective, there is a change. Of course, there will be less travel. So travel industry is going to be impacted negatively. There will be impact on the real estate industry because there will be more and more effect of or incidents of work from home, right? So more and more our home will become our office, and the stuff, the concept of attending office physically is going to be less important. What is more important is seamless integration between office and home, and these are the changes that what I can see.
Thank you, Professor Chen. It was very interesting to hear from you. We were always dependent on technology, and with the new normal and with the COVID situation setting in, the dependence has further increased. And as you said, it will go hand in hand with the reliability of the technologies that we are using. Now that we are working from home, the dependency has increased further, and seamless integration also has to take place between networks, between the devices that we are using. So very important point that you have put up here. Let's move to Kaushikda. Kaushikda, if you can just give your introduction in 2 lines and then your thoughts on this.
Okay, thank you, Nirampum. Really appreciate this event overall. So myself, Kaushik Nath, I work for Cisco Systems as a security architect, and my primary deliverables are to build security operations centers globally for large enterprise organizations, and do the security maturity program assessment, deliver the red team assessment, and incident response. So as you rightly pointed out, Nirupam, and though you mentioned that you heard 3 questions, I heard the 4th question, and that was regarding from a business angle, that was the business continuity plan. Now every business is asking that, how do I continue during this challenging time? And from a business side, what I have observed globally is that every business, post February, January, February, when this COVID hit, was caught off guard. Nobody was prepared to handle this kind of situation. And if I classify these 2 kinds of these businesses, there are 2 emerging trends. One is that organizations were almost 20-30% of their workforce is working online, and they quickly adopted and replicated those standards and protocols, and they expand their rest of the workforce which were working from office to put them into their home quarantine services and continue with the business. So they suffered minimum disruptions. The other, other half of the business was completely at disarray. They didn't have any clue that how to continue and how to sustain their business, and they faced a lot of challenges in terms of making their business online for last couple of months. And what happened during that moment is that though their focus was to sustain their business, to make their business online, security got maybe tertiary or maybe even later priority. So these are the two major changes I have seen from my lens. And what it brought is that one of the success factor for the first kind of industry was that they made everything replicable, okay, standardized, so that and that actually helps businesses to quickly adopt to changes. So even what I say is that if a business is going through digital transformation, they should standardize more and more quickly, and and make the business and adoption more flexible, so that they can during this unprecedented time they can change and quickly adopt new things. So probably I will hand it over to you so that you can continue with that.
Yeah, thank you, Kaushikda. We know that the strongest of the species that survive are the ones which are most adaptable to change. So that is what is most important coming out of your discussions. Yes, definitely. We also deal with a lot with business continuity plans, business continuity management. So previously, what used to happen is that when it comes to business continuity, we always thought about fire, flood, terrorist threats, then server outages, but nobody took swine flu or flus or maybe this crisis into the context of business continuity setting. So that is something which has shaken companies altogether. So thank you, Kaushik. I suppose we have a video which needs to run right now. Anchal, if I'm correct, then you can run the video and then we can take this further to the other panelists. Anchal, Prabjit, Shivananda, anyone?
Yes, I'm just going.
Yeah.
Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you.
It's done. Quite a short video indeed. Thank you very much. Was interesting as well. Let's move to Akash now. Akash, your thoughts, your views, and first your introduction.
Yeah, my name is Akash, and I've been responsible to create a workforce for several organizations around the globe in last 8 years. And I work with a company called EC Council, which is considered to be world's largest as far as supplying the workforce talent to the world is concerned. I've been reading all these questions, and in fact, if I go back almost 8 to 10 years, or maybe even before that, I think we were waiting for such a thing, such a pandemic to be there, although we did not know what shape and size will it come in. But over the last 50 to 100 years, if we look at, the industries have changed. So when I started my job after my engineering in '94, most of the industries were not there. So these are new industries that have come up. Well, this is the time when we should look at it from the point of view that the world is changing, and it is the tipping point, or it is the point of inflection where the new industries are going to come, the new skills will be required in the market. Now, when you require new skills, you've got to be prepared for that. So I see a lot of questions being asked here. What do I do after 11? How do I get into cybersecurity? That's a very, very pertinent question. And I think this conference, e-conference, that we are participating under the auspices of ABP Education, I think it's very, very rightly timed. we must understand that there are new skills that are required. And when we need new skills, what kind of skills will be required? So in my various conferences that I have participated in, I've told that earlier, till February or March, we were working from our offices where the situation was very different. We had enterprise grade security measures, but now I'm working from home, and so are most of you, which means we require something which is your team can protect it while you're sitting at home, which means there are a whole set of new skills which will be required now. So what are those skills? How do we acquire those skills? Where do we get those skills are some of the questions that we should be asking. And I think that is going to be something that we are going to talk today. And I have personally worked very, very extensively in terms of how do we provide that. So whether it is at the level of your colleges or even schools where you study your K to 12, the colleges and universities, and thereafter when you are out there to do your executive education, or you're out there as a working professional and you're working there. So in all the three segments, all the three spaces, there is this government who's working towards it, the enterprises are working towards it, and I guess that is going to be something of importance these days, and we must all look forward. So the students and the parents who are there on this call today, ask yourself, what is that skill I need for tomorrow so that I can become a cybersecurity professional of tomorrow? Those skills that were required earlier may not be required anymore. I'm talking specifically from cybersecurity. So Nirupam, I'll hand it over back to you, and we'll take more during the question answer sessions.
Yeah, sure. Thanks a lot, Akash. Very good inputs. Capacity building or building your skill sets is very important at this point in time, because with this pandemic and the crisis setting in, you would find new skills arising every day related to cybersecurity. So it's very important that we keep ourselves up to date with these new skills. Let's move to Oleg. Oleg, your thoughts on this? Any international angle that you would obviously like to bring in here would be of help.
My name is Oleg Glebov. I'm Master of Science in Cybersecurity and Cryptography, and I'm working almost 11 years around IT and cybersecurity. And right now, I'm working more than 1 year in Speech Technology Center. And this is a company for the biometrics, and it's interesting. I want to bring the view of what is the role of the biometrics right now in terms of the cybersecurity. Because in previous, when I've been in the pure cybersecurity business, let's say, not so often I heard anything about biometrics so far. And if we're talking about what is changing right now, how the pandemic affecting the current life, biometrics exist for 20, for 30 years. Identification of the persons based on the face, on the fingers, on the eyes, it's obvious, it's already exists. But the technology evolves. And currently we see that there is absolutely new role of the biometrics. First of all, about the pandemics. And we can split this on two main areas. First one is the consumer. Personally, as a people, we see these e-government services. The banks are ready to provide us more services from home, and more commercial business trying to position technologies to the people using the more convenient way of the communication. I'm talking about the voice, I'm talking about something like, okay, Google, Alexa, and so on. So it's already here. And definitely it's a big question that when the business is forced this year to move a lot of their services to this field, to digital space, cybersecurity, it's a big question mark. Okay, what will happen? How it will help cyber criminals to use this? Because everyone is thinking about the money right now, and no one is thinking about the security. On the other hand, there is a B2B business, so commercial business. And it's not happening right now, but it will happen very soon. When the big organizations, they will realize that, okay, it's not enough what we're doing, especially for the identity checking of the employees, how to verify who is at work right now, time attendance. Even the students right now, they're facing the same situation. The big educational companies, they're trying to verify based on the biometrics, not on the passwords or some kind of identity data. And to highlight here, I want to say that it's very interesting that current situation brought huge opportunities to the cyber criminals, because they're using the stress, they're using unpreparedness of the people to collect the data, just to grab everything. They are providing information, hey, participate to the survey, provide information about yourself, and take a look what we know about the COVID-19 and so on. What will happen next? I think till the end of the year, we will see huge growth on the cybersecurity cases, because cyber criminals will use this data. And the companies will be forced to replace traditional methods like passwords, SMS notification, anything which is not related to the person, to the biometric based. What is happening in India, what we see from the business perspective, it's a major replacement of the touch-based technologies, like fingerprints, they're everywhere. Right now, it's not so secure, both from the cybersecurity perspective and at the same time, definitely from the epidemiological situation. And we bring in the idea that the identity and biometrics should be the new normal, both for the human life and for the cybersecurity, for the identification. Especially if we're talking about something like this. Try to verify who am I. And we think about the multimodal approach, when technologies will help organizations to identify person on the many different factors, part of the face, voice, iris, fingerprints, and so on, all together to bring the flexible approach for the identity management.
Sorry, I was on mute. Thank you, Oleg. Very interesting facts indeed. And with the advent of technology, we see several kinds of biometric recognition. You see gait as well, that is the posture, walking posture as well, being recognized when it comes to physical security in organizations. So let's move to Colonel Singh. Colonel Singh, your thoughts on this and your brief introduction.
Yeah, I'm Colonel Indrajit. I head the cybersecurity vertical in Vara Technology, part of Kanoria Foundation. And to tell you about what's happened in the pandemic and after that and what we are facing, so all my panelists have already brought in a lot of pertinent points. Two new changes what we are seeing. One is the online education, which we were doing all these years, and that's really gone to the virtual education. It's got its own challenges. Its own nitty-gritties to be worked out, authentication for the students, the examination, their assessment, and the complete teaching part of it. So it's a new normal what we are seeing, both from the teachers, professors, and the students as well. So it's a new learning where the vertical kind of arena which we saw between the student and the teacher has gone to a horizontal platform where everybody's safe. Right, that's the major new normal what we are seeing today. And second is the healthcare sector, right? And healthcare sector is the new IT sector of the world today, right? And it brings in challenges all along. If it is the IT sector, there are going to be a lot of cyber attacks. There are going to be huge threat landscape which is going to be there. So both these sectors are the emerging different sectors which are part of the new normal beyond the COVID, right? And that's what we are seeing. So even the education sector, we're going to see a lot of attacks, impersonating attacks, like synthetic identity attacks. How do you identify a student? If this is going to be like this, it's going to be like this for quite some time. Though we may say that we are going to be opening up colleges, schools, but definitely it's not going to be the same as ever. So, so I will resonate the same point which Oleg brought in. Your facial recognition, your voice biometric will become a major, tool to, identify a lot of your clients, your students, your, other things what you're doing day to day. So that's the new kind of technology areas what we are seeing right now.
Thank you, Colonel Singh. It is always good to hear from you, and good to know that the new technologies are coming up and the new skill sets that we always need to incorporate. And that, as I was also reading a survey recently, wherein it said that this is the time when during the pandemic time, what has happened is that hackers are using the lure technique related to pandemic, and that's how the identity theft has increased fourfolds. And there's a huge skill set gap with respect to understanding these cybersecurity requirements in the industry as well as within the academia. So that's where, now that I move to academia, let me ask Professor Shomir Mukherjee. Shomir, your thoughts on this?
Thank you, ABP. Can you hear me?
Yes, Shomir, please go on.
Okay. Thank you, ABP. Thank you, Nirupam. Okay, greetings from Makaut and good afternoon to everybody. See, I'm from Makaut. This is a kind of a nodal body of 270 engineering colleges here in West Bengal. I'm also looking after certain agencies, certain association kind of. I'm the chapter president of ARVRA, ARVR Association of USA, and I'm looking after WVRF, World VR Forum in Geneva. Under UNESCO, World VR Forum is looking after the compliance part of it, of the emerging technologies and all this. I'm ambassador of that. And I'm looking after IVRF also. IVRF is the International VR Foundation. They are looking after the all emerging technology hardware association. By the way, I'm a 27K lead auditor, and as probably I'm the last guy, so all the things is already uttered, already said. I'm telling you some other things. Most probably you will like it, and it's a different thing altogether because of, you know, for COVID and all this, it is clear to everybody. Okay, see, last 2010, I was in a conference organized by Interpol in Singapore. Okay, all global leaders were there. Okay, and they are discussing about the different kind of technology pertinent to the cybersecurity. Okay, 2010. So you can understand 2010, what kind of knowledge we had that time. Okay, trust me, it was absolutely going beyond my head, and nothing was, very, very clear to me. Incidentally, I got a group of industry friend. I returned back from Singapore, and we discussed that what is this? What kind of cybersecurity we are doing here, and what people are telling. Okay, let's do something. Some of that people are in the stage also today. They are also in the panel. I don't
Mr.
want
Mukherjee,
to,
sorry to interrupt for a second. We are getting feedback from the audience that your voice is not clear. Try and be a little louder.
Means it's not audible.
Audible.
Yes,
It's
sir.
audible, but a bit low.
Yes, sir.
Now it's okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's perfect.
Okay.
Now. Thank you.
So okay, I have to do that. Okay. Now again, last year, 2019 June, I was in the Interpol. Means every year I was there in Interpol conference. Last year also, you know, the huge conference, huge technology, different kind of speakers, different kind of companies, all are pertinent to cybersecurity. Interpol is for that. Okay. Again, going beyond my head. So 10 years within this gap, everything is going my head, over my head. And I'm claiming I'm a 27K lead auditor. I'm claiming I understand something. Okay. I'm just telling you another very interesting things. You know, probably yesterday's newspaper, a very, very leading newspaper, they got two news. Okay. The news number one, conman of Jamtara gang arrested. They are connected with the major cybersecurity issues in our country from the Department of Ghaziabad Police. Okay. Believe me, the picture along with that news was probably some 9-10 people, very, very wretched, poor guys. They are the cybersecurity guy of our country. I was really shocked. You know, if this is the situation of our country, that the cybersecurity is taken over by the Jamtara gang, then we have to think twice. I think time has come, we have to think twice. Now the second news, I'm coming to the second news. This is a very small news that China is watching over 10,000 eminent Indian, including our Chief Minister, Prime Minister, business tycoon, film star, and the sports star, and all this, 10,000. they are under scanner for a hybrid warfare. Now, ladies and gentlemen, can you tell me the Jamtara gang or this Chinese scanning part is the part of cybersecurity? I think time has come. We have to change it. Look, I am from the air here. You can ask me that you are from the air here, why you are, because of, I already spent 10 years in this. Now time has come to, to touch some other different kind of technology, other, a convergence of different kind of idea of this cybersecurity and emerging technology and all this. That is the reason I am here. Probably now people knows me that I am from a emerging technology department or VR here. People probably forget these things, that we are the first people, more or less, last 10 years back, we started an association called CSEF, Cyber Security Education Foundation, for giving a proper training to the students. So that's all. Maybe this is not pertinent to COVID, but over to Nirupam for the next question.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Shumida. We say three things primarily with respect to management of cybersecurity or cyber issues: people, process, and technology. What Shumida mentioned, this Jamtara gang, they primarily deal with the vulnerability in the people. That is, if you see, it's mostly a person who is naive or who doesn't understand cybersecurity, who clicks accidentally on a link, and that's how a cyber threat happens. Or maybe you are told on the phone that your credit card is expiring, so you need to give me your numbers. So that's how these things normally happen. We see the people side of it. There's also technology, and there's also process side of it. We'll talk about it slowly. I see a lot of questions coming up in the Q&A forum, so I'll just ask the audience to be a little bit patient as we go through the panel. I'm sure all of your questions will be answered. There was a question which I saw on Zoom being vulnerable. Just to answer your question, that vulnerability has all been taken care of. It's all a matter of patch management that happened with Zoom, and the vulnerability in Zoom of your personal data getting hacked is not there anymore. So I'll open up the panel right now. So what we'll discuss is primarily on the post-COVID scenario, the job prospects, and the careers that a student might take up. So let me ask Kaushikda. We are all working from home nowadays. I heard that your organization has also decided that till July, maybe 2021, you all are working from home. So considering this COVID-19 and this work from home adoption, do you see any change in which the organizations should handle cybersecurity, or maybe general people should handle cybersecurity?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at work from home has really brought in a lot of security challenges for those who are not familiar to this kind of environment. And as I earlier mentioned, that many organizations whose primary intent was to enable the workforce to connect to the business and deliver their deliverables have bypassed somehow the security protocols. Okay, so they are facing a lot of challenges in terms of managing the workforce from a security compliance standpoint, as well as their maintaining their reasonable security standards. So if you ask me that how organizations are taking care of, or what one should do to remain safe while they are working from home, there is a laundry list. So many things needs to be done, but three basic things, very basic things I want to mention, because most of the audience are students. So three things you need to keep in mind. One is, do not use or use licensed software. Now I know, and this is in India, this statement is a a little bit of of a problem. But if you look at the moment you start using unlicensed software, be it operating system or any application, that brings a lot of malicious stuff. And what happens on top of it, that you are you are bid for any upgrades. I mean, the OEMs will never upgrade your operating system, and you remain vulnerable the moment you connect to the internet. So always use licensed version of the software. Second is, do not use password, use passphrase. So normally what happens is that you use a 8-character long password or a 10-character long password. Instead of that, use a complete sentence as a password, and add 2-3 special characters, or some signs or numbers or caps letter. These are very simple practice. Anybody can do that. And third is, whenever you are nowadays working from home is compelling you to do a lot of transactions, especially financial transactions online. So though every bank or every organization or app, they have their information security or PCI DSS or payment transaction security in place, but from your side, the bare minimum what you can do is use a VPN channel. Okay, there are so many renowned VPN service providers are there. Use them so that your connection from home till the service provider or the app organization remains in a tunnel, and it is encrypted. So these are the very fundamental advice from my side, Nirupam, for all the students and whoever is listening to it. But if you ask me, there are maybe 35 or 40 controls which you need to be doing it while you're working from home, which is beyond scope of this particular webinar. It will take a lot of time, but I want to give time back to you.
Right. Thank you, Patrika. Appreciate it. Use of VPN, multi-factor authentication. Then, as you said, using of a full sentence like a quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog, and you pick up the first letter of each word, and that's how maybe you take it forward. So, Akash, let me ask you. So, this working from home, I again go back to working from home. That's what we are doing. So do you think this has exposed organizations and individuals to a lot of cyber threats as such?
Yeah, that is obvious, because at home we use shared networks, and those kinds of, the other experts have talked about those kinds of firewalls and antivirus, anti-malwares and measures we do not take. And we're using our own systems. The BYOD, bring your own device system, has actually come in. And I mean, sometimes you can't refuse your family members to, kind of spend a minute or two on your computer, and you don't know which link they would click on. So phishing, social engineering, it is subjected to them also. So to answer your question in one word, yes, it has made it difficult for the organizations to manage. Kaushik mentioned about certain measures to be taken, but honestly, it's so difficult for even the most known people to be able to follow all the measures that have been suggested by people. But nevertheless, as I always say, that it's not a question of if you will be hacked, it's just when you would be hacked. So just wait till you're hacked and be prepared. And one must be prepared and must be able to delay the hacking and reduce the extent of loss that you would suffer, and that can happen only with kind of more education that is there.
Absolutely. General awareness. I also always feel the same. You should always be aware of these cyber threats, and you should also be up to date as to what are the cyber threats that are there. Even if you read newspapers, you will get to know a lot of threats that are there persisting in the market. It may be an ATM fraud, it may be anything as such. So the newspapers often bring out cyber threats as such, which a normal person can be aware of. Let's move to Professor Joydeep Sen. As an educationist, as a veteran educationist, any changes that you have seen in the education industry due to this pandemic? You're on mute.
Yeah. So am I audible now?
Yes, you are.
Okay. Thanks for asking this very relevant question. Yes, education has been very much, I think, has gone a lot of changes because of this pandemic, because the delivery is happening online. And just taking cue from the previous speakers, as you know that every organization has got a periphery of security, which you call security perimeter. Now every home actually has become, a node of that perimeter. So the perimeter has increased. Previously, what used to happen is that you could secure the perimeter with your own devices like firewall, intrusion detection systems, intrusion prevention systems. Nowadays, your perimeter has simply increased with an exponential number of nodes because there are a number of homes in which actually the connectivity is happening. So one of the solution has been proposed by Kaushik, which I agree that is the safest solution is using the VPN. Now in online education, the thing is that the awareness about the security is very less. Because most of the time, as Akash has pointed out, that children of school or maybe even the intermediate college, the awareness of the cybersecurity is less, and it is much more easy for them to get trapped into this kind of security, loopholes by clicking on some links which will actually, open the, some sort of security loopholes into a system which can give open door to the attacker, right? So that's very difficult at this point of time, for my understanding. You can make your system secure by implementing antivirus, malware prevention softwares, and so on. But still, unless and until that full awareness among the school students and intermediate college students happen, security will be a challenge. So, while the delivery of the services is almost now 100%, along with that, what we call risk or vulnerability is, that's why I think you have also said 4 times the attack has increased. That just because there are more chances of, attack points, because previously it was, education was mostly physical because the people were used to attend classes, physical in the class. So that's why the Zoom vulnerabilities and all other system vulnerabilities are coming into picture. They are famous saying in the security paradigm, nothing is secure 100% in this world, right? Everything has got some vulnerability or the other. So that's the overall situation according to my understanding.
Thank you.
As just pointed out that there are a laundry list of actions points that can be taken, right? You can have firewalls, you can have more advanced IDS, but a question is that there is an economic point, because you cannot have those kind of stuffs put across all the nodes in all the homes, right? At the same time, we are having transactions which are very critical. Sometimes even in education also, many of the data, say for example, exam-related data or question papers, those are something which are critically sensitive data, and there is always a chance of leakage in those kind of situations.
Yeah, thank you, Professor Chen. As you pointed out, the security, the perimeter has increased. The boundaries have gone beyond the standard office working. It has gone to the respective homes as well. So the more aware we are, the better. Let's ask Oleg here. Oleg, your inputs on working from home or anywhere where you think biometric or the new technologies that you spoke about could be of help when it comes to the new normal?
So there are many different implementation scenarios, but we can start from, for example, what our business, what we are doing. For example, we're implementing voice biometrics for the call centers of the big organizations. So while you're calling to the call center, the operator, he's not only relying on some specific data, which commonly could be well known to the cyber criminals. They can steal the data about yourself. But also they are relying on the voice biometrics and relying on how you speak, and we're using for this artificial intelligence, machine learning. And another example, what is happening right now, for example, in India, many big call centers, they switched operators from working in the office to working from home. And so from the software perspective, a lot of call center providers They are supporting this method when someone is working from home, accessing to the call center software, and can handle the calls from the home, sitting home. But there is a big question mark, because while these persons, the operator of big bank, for example, working on premise, they're protected by the cybersecurity department of the bank. When they're working at home, they're not protected. And cyber criminals can penetrate via their personal devices, via some specific social engineering methods. And definitely, that's another example of the implementation scenarios for the biometrics, when you can check not only the clients, but you can check employees. And for example, verify that this is the right operator and he has access to the data, replace maybe even access to the data. We have a case when one big insurance company, they refused from granting access to the personal data of the clients for the operators, and they totally switched to the biometrics. So operators, they are not asking you, please tell me your ID number or some secret words, because they don't have access to this data. They cannot verify it. They just rely on the biometrics, and the system is showing them, is it Oleg speaking or no, and showing them the severity. Maybe it's some well-known cyber criminal. And this is the example of how this kind of technology can work while current situation is happening. Another example, what Indrajit told, that telemedicine, it's a big question mark, because right now, while a lot of healthcare organizations switching to the remote services, what will be the main answer for the question, how to verify that this is the right person? Someone is calling by phone and telling, I'm not feeling bad, I'm Oleg Glebov, I can tell you all the data about Oleg, but in real life you need to verify, because you, first of all, you're sharing the data with someone, with a caller, and it could be very sensitive data about the healthcare, and definitely there will be the mandatory requirement, first of all, to verify who is calling. And here, for example, the only way is voice, and you cannot implement any kind of one-time passwords or anything, rely on the third channel. You can verify on the biometrics. And definitely we see that in 2020 till the end of the year and 2021, there will be the major spike of the implementation of the voice biometrics. First of all, because of the availability of so many different services. For many years, it was only physical. Right now, all of them, they are digital. And most of the companies, they're not ready, and they're currently looking for some kind of the security measures to decrease the risk.
Yeah, good to know, Oleg. As I see, it's getting everywhere. Biometrics and facial scans, everywhere. I think a time will come when this will go to each and every place. Let's move to Shomida. Your angle. So this large-scale digitization that is happening across India. We have the Digital India mission, and in addition to what Oleg mentioned, that sharing of personal data. So this is making us more vulnerable. Your thoughts on this?
Yep, of course. But before that, let me discuss a little bit of my analogy, my personal analogy. Okay, that this huge digitizations, large-scale digitizations, we should understand, like structured, unstructured data is. We uttered this word so many times. I'm not discussing this today. What my area today's discussions, that we should understand what is data. That will be much better option, that what is data and how we generate data. Suppose if we take a photographs from my handset, the photograph is also a data. Okay, it's a different kind of a data. Okay, but with that photographs, your handset company connected so many other data, your place, your geographical location, the time, and so many things. Okay, so the basic data now is includes of so many different kind of other data. Now what you will do with that photographs? You will put that photographs to the Facebook. So it is a very simple thing. You put that thing in the Facebook for your friends. Clear? But Facebook will put so many data inside that data. Clear? So it's a massive data. At the end of this 2 exercise, just you took a picture and put it into the Facebook. Now come to the next question, that why this? Why this additional data? Okay, why we create this a massive data? See, because of the advertiser, they are paying to the big companies. Okay, because of big companies are means they are doing the acquisition of your data and sell it to some big product company. Very interesting. Then it is for our students that why I'm telling you, you should understand exactly why these things is coming up. Why you people are here to understand engineering, not a hacker. But why this hacker? Why this kind of different kind of cyber criminals? Okay, we do not have that kind of institute that we can make you cyber criminal. But if you understand the entire process, then you can understand that exactly what you have to do. Then question again comes that why so? Why this? They are adding data in my data and selling data to some other people? The very simple answer that advertisers are paying for your mail to Gmail. Advertisers are paying to Facebook for your uploading your photographs. Okay, so basically, you are a product. Until unless if you pay something, you are not a customer. Okay, so it's a very simple concepts now. Now we are coming to a conclusions that we are rather a kind of a commodity or a kind of a product, and they are using us. Okay, so this massive data, what they will do? Okay, fine, we are commodity. Then what they will do with this? See, that big tech companies, we take that data, do the analytics, do a huge massage, and coming to a conclusion, coming to a different kind of a trend. Fine, fantastic. What they will do with that trend? Very simple questions. It will come to your mind that, fine, I understand, but what they will do? You know, they will know you better and better. They want to know your everything. They want to know your mood, what you love, what you hate, everything with their fine algorithm and fine analytics. Is it clear that the huge area of data is what? See, another very complicated things, let me discuss a little bit. See, last 30 years back, I was in IBM, okay? And that time, we are, we basically, we are selling machines to our customers, isn't it? Don't you think so? That people are selling their product to the customers. What we are doing now? Can anybody tell me that exactly what we are doing? See, there is no more customer at this moment. They are selling to the users. What kind of users means what? As far as my knowledge goes, I know that drug peddler, drug dealer, and the tech companies are using this word. No other companies are using this word. From the very beginning, I want to prove something. I want to prove something means that the entire process is controlled by the big techies. Yes, big techies, the big multinationals, they are making all these things. And the way they want this, we are doing this. It is very simple. So it is not the question of a very huge data. It is not the basic question of that structured data, unstructured data, or what kind of data and all this. It is the question of how they want to use me. Simple. How they want us to use as per their choice. That is the future. And be it for the politics, be it for the product selling, be it for any damn thing, they can do whatever they want. They are watching all our steps. And I think
Thank you, Shomita. That was an interesting angle. You got all of us a little bit scared, I would say, with whatever you said. But anyway, there are a number of questions which I see popping up here and there. One of the anonymous audiences has written how to become a master in hacking. Please don't try to be a master in hacking. Number one, you will never be able to be. And cybersecurity is much more than hacking. We'll discuss this slowly. There are a lot of domains which you need to learn when it comes to cybersecurity. Let me move to Colonel Singh here. Cybersecurity, as we understand, is now customized. It's moved beyond IT security to OT security. And perhaps the next warfare that will happen, the world war that will happen, would be a cyber warfare. So how is the military preparing themselves, and your inputs on this?
Yeah. So, when we talk of overall preparation, and you very well brought it out, it's not going to be one word as a cybersecurity. It's going to be a different domain. So one may be a hacker, another may be a cybersecurity guy, a third person may be into a cyber audit, the fourth person may be in cyber forensics for that matter, and something in data protection also. And then comes with threat intelligence and threat detection. So if you need to really prepare yourself for the cyber warfare domain, so you need to really work on the threat intelligence domain, threat hunting domain, threat detection domains, which are much more than the cybersecurity what we talk of, generally, where we just talk of endpoint protection or your disk protection. So here what we're looking at is working on the different skill sets altogether, right? Also, when we talk of the cyber warfare, we talk of the OT, the critical information infrastructure, like your power grids, your road networks, your hospital networks, your telecom networks. So those are the critical information infrastructure. Safeguarding them and attacking them of any enemy. And it's not going to be a kind of a clear-cut demarcation between the borders. Like the cyberspace is all blurred borders. So cyber warfare also, anybody anywhere in the world can launch that kind of attack, right? So your enemy is unknown. The country which is launching the attack is unknown. And this is what we have been seeing, a limited kind of cyber warfare always on. We call it in a different domain, parlance, like the fifth dimension of warfare. Somebody saying, of late, hybrid warfare or a data warfare. But primarily, this is all part of the cyber warfare, where you're actually, bringing down the critical information infrastructure, right, of the country. Maybe that some hacker or some group of, people, they bring down the complete stock exchange. And they have got the name of the APT, the Advanced Persistent Threat. So there are a number of APT 1, 2, 3, going up to 36 is particular, 28 is a particular one. I'm not naming them, different countries. So, that is where you need to actually hone your skills, where you're able to work on the exploits, at the same time safeguarding yourself, behind any network, so that whenever you launch a cyber attack or you're part of the cyber warfare, it's all going to be a very clear-cut game. And if you look in the cyberspace and looking for the terminologies, what we use, the cyber intelligence, cyber attack, cyber detection, and bring it to your physical life, they're the same words of the warfare. So learning is not going to be very difficult. It is that you have to, skill yourself for those particular things.
Thanks, Colonel Singh. Good to hear your views as well. Let's talk about the cybersecurity job market, because I see the question answers panel is full of cybersecurity job market questions. So let me ask Akash first. Due to this COVID-19 pandemic, there are certain aspects of cybersecurity which have started gaining more importance. There may be a security operations center, there may be governance, risk, and compliance part of it, which has opened up as well. So does this mean that the job market for cybersecurity professional is also getting good shape?
Well, when you say good shape, does it mean that are we looking for more jobs in cybersecurity?
Yes, what I mean is basically different kinds of jobs have opened up for cybersecurity, as well as the number of jobs have increased due to the skill shortage.
Absolutely. I mean, one of the statistics and my own interaction with the players out there in the globe, they all mentioned that, yes, the requirements have just doubled up. So if there were 100 required yesterday before pandemic, we require 200 now. So, and I'm glad and I'm happy to see all those comments coming in. We need people from all backgrounds, whether you're from commerce, then we would need a person to be aware about cybersecurity, to be an expert in some kind of a field that our other panelists are talking about, so that he could not just focus on cybersecurity, but he brings in the domain knowledge of commerce as well. And similarly, other fields. So that's a very, very important thing that people must understand, that cybersecurity is not just for computer science students. No, not just computer science students. Well, they have their own expertise when they bring in. It's computer science plus cybersecurity that they bring in. Having said that, and when we are talking about the new normal, so I often say for last 2, 3, 4 months, I've been talking about this, and I'll repeat it here. Are we going to see the same world that we saw in 2020, January or December? No, we are not going to see that. The world has changed. We've got used to working from home. Some of us love the dichotomy of or benefit of having both the options available to us, whether we can go to office and work from home both ways, because it gives us flexibility. It gives me as an enterprise a hand on, say, if I want to work with Oleg here, for instance, he might be located somewhere outside India. So I might, kind of hire him for something that I need him. Earlier, I wanted him to be in my office. So there are things that are changing now. And yes, the kind of jobs which are required and the number of jobs that are required has increased. We need people from all walks of life, whether from commerce, engineering, or whatever. On top of everything, we need each and everyone who's carrying a computing device, even a mobile phone is a computing device, to be aware about cybersecurity. One last thing before I hand the mic over back to you, Nirupam. Someone asked, the anonymous person asked that he wants to become a master in hacking. I want to clarify the word hacking. Hacking is not a negative word. It's used in negative connotation. It's not a negative word. It's a word. That's it. And hacking has a meaning. Hacking means you get into the computer, you find out the vulnerabilities, and you come out and you have a report in hand that these are the set of vulnerabilities that are there. That process is called as hacking. Now, if you use it for bad intentions or malicious intention, you become a bad hacker. If you're using it to fix the situation, you hand it over to your developers, you're a good hacker. And when you're a good hacker, we call it ethical hacker. Now, understand one thing, to beat this bad guy, you got to be better than this good guy, got to be better than this bad guy, which means you have to learn hacking with much better than what this bad guy knows. So every company out there requires two kinds of people more than anything else. They need someone who could defend their network, and they need someone who can attack their network. So someone who keeps attacking the network all the time to find out vulnerabilities before someone outside with bad intentions finds it out is called as ethical hacker. So it's important that each company on this planet Earth must have an ethical hacker. In fact, if you ask me, I would go to generalize it even further, that each one of this, there are like, whoever is watching this today must have a knowledge of ethical hacking, because at the end of the day, you're using on an average 2 or 3 devices, maybe a tablet, mobile phone, laptop. So before someone else attacks your machines, you better find out those vulnerabilities and fix it. Over to you, Nirupam.
Yeah, thanks, Akash. Good to hear from the EC Council angle of ethical hacking, definitely. Over to Kaushik. This industry, the way cybersecurity threats have increased, I'll ask you two questions. How do you think is the industry preparing for the capacity building shortage? I mean, shortage in the cybersecurity skills, number one. And what I was also harping upon, that cybersecurity is not only about hacking. Hacking may be one aspect of it. There are other domains of cybersecurity as well. So if you could just touch upon these two questions.
Okay, thanks, Tirupam. So, first question first is that how industry is preparing for tackling this situation. And Akash also told that there is the requirement for trained manpower has doubled. Okay, so if I share the data, with the research done by IBM, they say that in India by 2021 we will be needing 15 lakh security professional. 15 lakh, that is 1.48 million, they said, right? That's a huge number of students. And today, I don't know, Akash may correct me if I'm wrong, how many cybersecurity professionals we are building academically, various colleges, all colleges, institutes
Small
across
fraction.
India. Yeah, maybe 35,000, 50,000, not more than that.
No,
And
I
we
mean,
need,
we are producing much, but it's a small fraction of what is required, a very small
right.
fraction.
Absolutely. So if you look at, I mean, I can share some data about how, as a company, Cisco, we are dealing with this challenge, because we are one of the largest producer of security products. You take it firewall, IPS, and so on and so forth. So the first thing in our criteria is that training. Training is a big investment in Cisco today. You know, then lateral hiring, but the problem is that it is difficult to get the right skill set, and even more difficult to retain those skill set. Okay, so and this is becoming more challenging as we see that there is a skill shortage, and people are leaving job, or not very difficult to keep them here. So what we have decided is to automate where we cannot find people. So a lot of automations are happening, security automations are happening. Like in our SOC, there are around it's a 24/7 global SOC, which was manning about 200 people. Now that has been reduced, not reduced in terms of we have asked people to go, but we have migrated them to other project and automated entire L1 and half of L2 task. Okay, everything is automated. So automation is everywhere because we don't get people. And the third thing is that using AI and ML technology to bridge the gap. So a lot of research is happening, a lot of work is going on to build in all the devices with ML capability, and then taking them to analytics engine and building neural networks, and apply the AI algorithms and get the job done. So this is happening parallelly as we build more workforce on trained workforce on cybersecurity. At the same time, automation and invasion of AI ML is happening. So that's happening in the industry. Now, to address your second part of the question, what was the question, by the way, Nirupam?
What are the other domains in addition to ethical hacking?
Yeah, right. So I mean, what I can recall, because I invest a lot of time in training in cybersecurity at various capabilities. So I see 11 or 10 probably domains where cybersecurity can be, you can pursue cybersecurity skills. So one is already mentioned, ethical hacking. Second is GRC, that is governance, risk, and compliance field. Third is auditing. Fourth is security operations center, that is security analyst or threat hunters, or like that. That incident responders. Okay, fourth. Next could be the BCP guy, who looks after and gives you the direction that where the organization should go in terms of a critical situation, emergency situation. Fourth, maybe the IoT security specialist, because Nirupam, you also mentioned that IT and now IoT is coming, and it is creating a huge scope and opportunity in the market. So we'll be needing probably we need a lot of people with IoT skill set, okay, and with security knowledge. So that field is growing heavily. Healthcare, like Professor Mukherjee is expertise in AR, VR, XR, that is being utilized in healthcare sector. And there we need a lot of professionals who understand HIPAA, a law or compliance requirement, who understands the technology of AR/VR, how it is encroaching the area of privacy, okay, and what would be the going forward strategy and all. So that is one career aspect which is developing like this. There are some, and developers, security developers, we need development skill while developing security products, like VPN engines or AI engines which is using security data. We need people with IoT security skills who can develop software. Okay, so there are so many skill area which is required in this field. So I said 10. So probably I can mention that in the panel. So these are the required fields.
Right.
Yeah.
Thanks, Kaushika. When it comes to training, if I talk about the International Standard on Information Security, ISO 27001, awareness creation and training forms one of the major clauses of this particular standard. An interesting saying that came to my mind when it comes to training: an HR manager of a company asks a chief information security officer that what if we train our employees on cyber security and they leave? To which he says, what if we don't and they stay? So that is where the difference lies. You see, if you don't train them and they stay, you will meet with a cyber attack any time. So that's what happens normally. So let's move to Shomita again. So how are emerging technologies? You are an AR VR expert. So how are these technologies, AR VR, are playing critical roles in facilitating students to increase their employability as such?
Yeah, thank you, Nirupam. The thing is, till that, whatever we are doing.
Louder. Sir, your sound.
Just one minute. Yeah, now it's louder, probably. My headset is overused and probably. It's unmute, isn't it?
We can hear you, Shomita.
You can hear, no? Okay.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Now the question is the entire area of ours, like VR, AR, XR, MR, and all this is a 3D 360 environment. Till date, whatever we have, either it is, ASCII, SFOC, or a kind of a, structured some photographs or some audio like that. So the entire thing will be another, there will be a huge paradigm shift, Both the things will be there. One, that as it is a kind of a 3D data and you can manipulate it, you can make it a very kind of model, okay? And that is one part of it. Simultaneously, you can manipulate it also very easily. I'm just telling you another very interesting point of our engineering area, which is, all our gadget is a kind of IoT devices. My headset, my haptic, all these gadgets are kind of, they can talk each other. We are using a very high bandwidth space, and basically this IoT device can talk each other. And IoT devices is very simplified devices. They got a different kind of processor. I'm not using any technicalities because of the students are there. Okay, they can understand, So the interesting part that all IoT devices can talk each other, can talk to with our gadgets and all this. So it will be easier for them to communicate. But if there is any miscommunications, if one IoT device can give me a different kind of feed, okay, so the entire data will be jeopardized. That that somebody is selling these things that in the operation theater. Okay, so if you want to do some operations with VR environment, okay, and if the data fed on that particular devices is a kind of a little vulnerable, okay, you cannot do that. So that is another very interesting point, that Nowadays, it will be very, very difficult stage. So student till that, maybe, they can learn something, IT, and then after IT, they can learn little bit of uh, uh, MI or little bit of ML, little bit of robotics part of it and all this. But now they have to learn. They have to learn all these things, then only they can survive. The day will come, maybe another few years down the line, that the topmost engineer who will be taking care of these things, that is not that they should be a kind of a cybersecurity engineer. They are a good engineer who understand the good design and who can take care of all the problems. That will be the future. So student, my advice for these particular questions, my advice to the students is that they should learn whatever they got at this moment, possible because of this pandemic time. So many good big universities are giving the different kind of course. They should learn all this, and once they should learn, they can implement it also. That's it, Nirupam.
Thank you, Shomita. Different skills like artificial intelligence, machine learning, etc., which also are very important factors when it comes to analyzing a cyber threat. Let's move to Oleg. Oleg, your ideas on the careers that are coming up in your domain, perhaps?
So if we're talking about pure cybersecurity, there is a big question mark corresponding to the rise of the cybersecurity threats, that most of the companies, they will not be able to handle everything by themselves. And definitely some of the speakers already told about security operation centers. So it's the very, very, let's say, mature approach in terms of the cybersecurity, but at the same time, it's very expensive. And a lot of the small organizations, middle organizations, they will be forced, based on the situation globally about the cybersecurity threats, to switch the service model when they will acquire some services of the cybersecurity from the third-party providers. And I see as an expert that there will be the huge requirements for the, let's say, incident response and cybersecurity custodian. So it's some kind of the expert who can handle the questions and can transfer the questions from this third-party company to the, for example, to the board members, to the general manager of the company, explain them in more simple way what these specialized companies want from the company. Or, for example, what is happening right now. It's the first, maybe very interesting opportunity. Another one, it's the big question about the PR. Most of the companies, they are not prepared for the situation when they've been hacked. So they don't know what to do. They don't know how to inform mass media. They don't know how to inform the clients about this. And overall, this is the big question, because if you know about the Garmin case, the producer of the smartwatches, it happens like 1 month ago, the case when it was the huge ransomware attack. They were just silent for 1 week, and no one even recognized what is happening. And this is also the question, because this means that internally they don't have any kind of strategic plan for the case when something bad happens. And this can bring a lot of new opportunities for the experts in the cybersecurity field, not only to be like, let's say, deep dive engineers, but at the same time to be some kind of the, let's say, more face of the company in terms of the cybersecurity cases. When they can explain to the clients, they can work on the strategy side of what will happen and how we will communicate in the different situations. And that's probably the two main most interesting cases from my personal view about what students can think about, and especially for those in the audience here that are not like engineers and they're not from the technical, with a deep dive technical background, but still they can work in the cybersecurity in this field.
Thank you, Oleg. Yeah, threat intelligence, something very important when it comes to analyzing cybersecurity in the organization. Something that is quite also similar to what Akash mentioned. You have, and I saw someone typing in the Q&A as well, you have red teams and blue teams in the organization, one who hack the system and one who prevent hacking of the system. So those are all very important things for organizations. Let's move to Colonel Indrajit Singh. Do you think that this is the time when the organizations need to review their policies and they have to determine whether they're adequately addressing the security requirements during this crisis? And do you think that if at all that they're doing it, do they have these skilled resources for this?
Yeah. So, in the starting of the talk, Akash touched upon the business continuity plan, and we spoke about that all the companies should have the business continuity plan. So, I just want to tell that it's the right time for all the companies to talk of the business continuity plan, not just a perspective of a plan on the computer. It should be tested retrospectively and put it into a kind of model which works, right? And thereafter, there are other policies like your cyber risk management, which is very important, which has to be there with all the companies right now. Without that, it's going to be really very difficult. Your instant response is another thing which you have to, work on. Then is your disaster recovery plan, right? So without your disaster recovery plan, how are you really going to, look into the next problem set, what you're going to be facing? And also, your cyber resiliency. We sometimes, miss out talking about the cyber resiliency. It's basically what it entails is that anytime whenever your network is out and how fast you come back to the same format of your working, right? So these are some of the policies which are there. Something as a policy which we need to work up and have in place is the IT policy to work from home, which we should have right now, because we're all going to be working in this kind of scenario for a long time. IT policy for working on your company laptops from the home. That is another one which has to be there with us. And also, some of the from the other thing, from the device the policy perspective to the point from the technical side, that's the on-ground implementation, like two-factor authentication, your MDMs in place, your data leakage prevention solutions in place. So those kind of things also we need to really work up. But the policies have to be really made, really tested, and we should put it to a test where now when people go back to the office in some point in time, or maybe 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, whatever time, which we can't say, how the things are going to go get back. So those policies will define how we are going to go back to the offices, because a major challenge what we are facing now in the situation where we were in the month of March and now and beyond is your data. And to tell you, the data is not in the organization today. Data is outside the organization. So nobody knows where your company data has gone. So these policies will be very much required to be defined to make the success of any company in times to come.
Right. Thanks, Colonel Singh. I would ask the audience to look at a few standards here. One is Information Security Management System Standard, that's ISO 27001. There's also another standard which is ISO 22301, which looks at business continuity management. There's also a standard on crisis management. I forgot the exact number. That's 13,000 or something as such, but you can find it on the internet. These are all international standards which are all dealing
risk management is 31,000.
That's 31,000, but there's a standard on crisis management as well, which is also gaining a lot of importance. Let's ask Professor Jaideep Sen here. So do you think cybersecurity is a recession-free career considering the situation that we are in right now? You're on mute.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone, again asking for this very important and relevant question. Well, I was just going through some surveys, and as I started by saying that there is a change in the delivery of services, be it education, be it banking transactions, be it other kind of services. Everything has now become online. So along with that comes your expansion of the perimeter. So there are more threats, more vulnerabilities, more kind of attacks. And obviously, for organizations to work in a less risk-prone environment, it is needed that there are more security professionals which come, join their bandwagon and make the services and the systems, networks, devices all secure. So it is not only recession-proof. I will say that there are certain industries which actually go in the opposite direction of the recession. So, for example, in COVID, healthcare industries are actually just going in the opposite. It's higher up. Similarly, in security is also, to my understanding, is some that kind of industry. Now, I would like to add something in addition to what has been discussed. Right, security is a very big field. Right, so one cannot be an expert in security. You have to first decide about the. So I have operating system security, I've got database security, I've got device security, I've got network security, I've got IoT security, I've got database security, I've got cloud security. Now, from a student to aspire for a career, right? Security comes as a layer which possibly sits at the top, unless I talk about L1, L2, which Kaushik was talking about. Mostly, if you look at the industry, it is mostly at the L7, that is the application layer, where the security is, security developers, where I look at, which I am more called, which I think he has also used the term. Now, for that, you need to understand the entire. So, for example, if you have to secure a device, you have to understand the device hardware, you have to understand the protocol stack. So, for one person to get expertise of all these areas, I think is something which is too big an ambition, right? So there are people who are specialists on different areas, say intrusion detection system designer, firewall designer. Okay, then you talk about bastion hosts, you have a network perimeter security professionals, vulnerability assessment auditors. Then you have got threat assessment professionals, and so on. So accordingly, the academics, I would like to talk about that. The academics also revolves around multiple, factors, right? So the academics carefully designed, security course, like for example, for our institute provides. It actually provides length and breadth of all, device, operating system, applications, database, and network, right? So with this, I believe that the recession will not be able to affect, because anyway, the device manufacturers will not have that much recession as service providers probably in a software industry. So you have again requirement of the device security professionals. You will anyway have network security professionals requirement, because your network perimeter is increasing, type of threats are getting more. So, it is more and more required. So I will say that it's a constantly evolving stream, constantly evolving discipline, extremely multidisciplinary. Just adding to Oleg's, thing, AI ML is not only that it is coming up now. Okay, there are, we treat security as two angles. One is anomaly and one is, signature or misuse. That means the attacks that has happened already, they are called signature, and the attacks which are new are anomaly. So more and more, the industry and the academics are moving towards automated threat detections and automated vulnerability analysis and automated attack detection as well, using techniques like support vector machines, not only AIM, but also deep neural network, like, networks which can very well understand the current, network traffic. Possibly they are not the already identified attacks, but they are attacks where they are possible hidden attacks which people have not seen. So those are called anomaly detections. And over and above that, Professor Mukherjee was talking about IoT. Now IoT brings with another dimension of security, because we talk about semantic interoperability between devices. Because two devices need to communicate with each other, even though their protocols might be different, their protocol stack might be different, their communication protocol might be different. So still they have to communicate. So we have a layer which is called semantic interoperability, and there comes a lot of new vulnerabilities. The two devices might be secure, but when they get into that semantic interoperable mode, you lead a lot of security openings. So that's why IoT security and cloud security are two things which will be constantly there. And along with that, the privacy, like HIPAA was talked about. Not only HIPAA, I will say that there are techniques called homomorphic encryption, which actually allows you to work on encrypted data. That means I am not even allowing the server to decrypt my data and read my data and work on that. I will send encrypted data to the server. Server will work on the encrypted data only. It did not need to decrypt and do the computation that I want. This phase is called homomorphic encryption, which is very much in practice even nowadays. So that makes the entire ballgame extremely complex, extremely multidisciplinary. So I think it's a matter of specialization. So there, of course, there is a layer of general approaches to security at the beginning, but then comes layers of specialization. That's what I see as a security in the new paradigm.
Thank you, Professor Shen. You have in fact covered the second question, which was I was about to ask you as to what are the things that a student should learn. Analytics, statistics also play an important role when it comes to understanding cyber threats as well. So it's all a diverse subjects that everyone needs to learn so as to become an expert on cybersecurity. Paushik, please.
One more thing is that the basis of security, of course, as all of us know, is cryptography. So maths definitely will play a role, because understanding of the cryptographic algorithm needs understanding of different kind of maths. And then comes the computer science, as somebody possibly you were also saying, that's just a small subset of the entire security ocean, you can say. But not only this maths and security, but also somebody was talking about legal aspects, incident response, then forensics. So it makes the boundary of this subject virtually boundaryless, I will say, right? You never know where. So communication, I forgot about one thing, communication protocol security. So that means communication stacks, for example, 5G, then next generation wideband networks where you will have even higher bandwidth, right? So there will be L1 security needed, and obviously L3, L4 anyway, there will be more security needed. Possibly they will get into through by AI, ML applications more, because as Kaushik has rightly pointed out, not only it's lack of skilled manpower, but also sometimes large scale of operations, and extreme high volume of data, extreme large size of network, that will invite automation anyway, right? That whether we're having manpower or not, that's possibly going to be secondary issue in future time.
Yeah, thank you, Professor Shen. Kaushik, your take on the job market, what is Cisco doing? What are the types of guys that they're employing, or what might be the general job scenario as such?
Okay, and Nirupam, there are so many questions I was just going through and responding to them, and everybody is asking that this is my qualification. Can I learn cybersecurity, or what should I do next? Okay, and very, very pertinent. I appreciate these questions, because definitely students should ask these questions, that what is the way forward. So though Akash touched upon that you don't need any specific degree or background to pursue cybersecurity as a career, and I second that. And probably I'm the biggest promoter of that. Let me share some experience, personal experience. In Cisco, currently we are hiring psychologists to be working in active defense platforms in our research and analysis wing in cybersecurity. And this psychologist doesn't have any background, even operating or knowing operating system. But why we are hiring them? Because we want diverse skills to be applied. I mean, absolutely playing field. They will think in a different direction without any baggage of cybersecurity knowledge or skills or so on and so forth. And in the past we have seen phenomenal results they are bringing into the table. Let me share another case study in Cisco. Is that our cybersecurity head of cybersecurity in APJ is a Calcutta University student who has done BA in history. BA in history, nothing else. And he is today the head of cybersecurity in Cisco just because he is so passionate about cybersecurity, and he has done so many phenomenal work and project deliveries. So I want to give back to the students here is that forget about what you are doing currently or what is your background. If you are really serious about doing cybersecurity or pursuing cybersecurity as your career, jump into it. This is not a typical 9 to 5 job. No jobs are like that, but cybersecurity especially, it demands a different level of engagement, like Akash also touched upon that ethical hacking. And also when you are into that hacking kind of role, or doing incident response and all, you have to forget about 9 to 5 or any timeline. Customers are on fire. You have to go and support them. You have to bail them out. So it demands that it is very, very demanding in that sense. And you need to be very, very passionate about this particular career. If you are that, and you have the right attitude, you are the right candidate for cybersecurity. Okay. So, and the good thing is that, when I started my cybersecurity career 20 years back in Calcutta, there was nothing, no institute who can deliver cybersecurity. Forget about in India, even the nearest training institute was in US. Okay, on cybersecurity. So today it is good that so many institutes have come up with cybersecurity knowledge. Even there are some really good institute who can give you a right kind of platform to build your cybersecurity skills. So go ahead and do some trainings, enablement, and jump into it. That would be my advice, Nirupam.
Thank you, Kaushikda. Yes, Kaushikda used a very important word, which is passion. I 100% agree. If you have passion for that trade, and if you don't take shortcuts, like Sachin Tendulkar's father, when he started playing cricket, he said that you have to be passionate about it and you don't take shortcuts. You can achieve anything in life. Why only cybersecurity? So this comes to a little bit of career counseling, but cybersecurity is an easy game if you're passionate about it. Let's move to Akash. Akash, this online learning, now with the new normal again, we come back to the online classes that is happening. Do you think that this is here to stay? And if so, what are the advantages that a learner may have when it comes to this new online learning mode?
Okay, let me ask you a counter question, Nirupam.
Yeah.
So would you like to learn from the best university in the world, or would you like to stay there where you are? I don't know where you are, and study from whatever you get at your hand. So what's your
I would like to learn from the best university in the world, obviously.
Right. So if that best university doesn't happen to be in a place where you are located, then either you'll have to travel and spend all those thousands of dollars or rupees there and study, or would you like an option which is online? Of course, you would go with the latter, right?
Right.
So the point here is, pandemic has given us an opportunity. All of us, the educators, the trainers like me, it has given us an opportunity to open up horizons. So someone asked a question actually, that if this is a recession proof. So let me connect this to this. None of these industries are permanent. It's going to be recession. I mean, there would be recession, they would become obsolete, they'll make it obsolete. So how many of such industries were there 200 years ago? It's just that it evolves into something else. So we are, again, we would evolve. So you enter as a career, and anyone would have a career of, say, 40 to 50 years per se. So in a career of 40 to 50 years, you have to keep evolving yourself. So when we talk about this kind of a learning, now I started my career almost 25 years ago. And when we are talking about my career, I started in a steel plant and then moved into training and then moved into cybersecurity training and, kind of this. So it's a continuous learning. But where did I learn? Did I learn it located in my office? But I am using this online education quite often. Now, what has happened during this pandemic from March till September now. The world has moved on the way it wouldn't have moved otherwise in 3 years. I personally have managed to move cybersecurity online training from what it used to be brick and mortar to completely online that we talk. Whether you talk about hands-on practice, it's online. Whether you talk about these Zoom meetings, it's online. Whether you talk about, kind of taking examination, certification examination from home, it's online. So the point is, online is going to stay. It's better that you get well used to it. Maybe when a guy comes out of his school after 10th, 11th, 12th, maybe in a year or two, all these universities out there, the top Ivy Leagues of the US, the Europe, the Singapore, and so on, they'll start, they'll open their admissions for you. And instead of studying in a university where you may not have wanted, and you could not go to that university because of the travel, visa, etc., be ready, and those online degrees would be as valid as they are. Having said that, I'm happy to tell you that the way Indian universities are shaping up, I have never seen them moving out to becoming online so fast. So to answer your question in one word, that it's going to stay. And I would request all the students to start understanding that, adapt themselves to become well-versed with online education. Because if they don't, they'll be left behind.
Right.
I hope that answers the question that you asked.
Yeah, thanks, Akash. It very well does. From brick and mortar, as you said, to click and mortar. That's what we know it as.
Not even mortar. You can be sitting on a beach.
Even I was not aware, because I came across Harvard University online as well as Massachusetts Institute of Technology. They are offering online courses on cybersecurity, which never we were not aware of earlier. So you get very good curriculums there. There are paid curriculums as well, and you have certain curriculums which are free, which you can attend for without any fees. So Shobita, can we talk about your university as such? What are you doing when it comes to collaborating these best practices in cybersecurity? Anything that you're doing to facilitate students to become cybersecurity warriors? Shobita, you're on mute. You're still on mute.
I didn't want it.
It's okay. Now you're audible.
Now you can listen. No? See, basically what Akash said in conclusion of his things, like online should be there, okay, but of course offline will be there, okay. So there will be kind of a homogeneous systems between online and offline. University will be there, but online university will be there. International college will be there, of course, but national college will be there. Okay, as we are the nodal body of kind of education systems for many engineering colleges here. We are looking after 270 engineering colleges. So we are also thinking, I'm not supposed to tell anything on behalf of our university, because of we got a competent authority who can, because of its government, and we already got these things that we should not talk. And this is ABP. But by the way, that yes, it is true that there is a kind of a combination of online and offline. It will be the future. Okay. And on the contrary, the collaboration part will be the key thing. If you have a good collaboration, you will have a good technology, good engineering field and all these things. But I don't think that just there is so many, like our VR, like so many lab. Recently, we tried our level best to search some good lab, online lab concepts. That is not possible, Like, so for lab part, you have to be in offline, and online for some other, theoretical or maybe some part of the practical part of it. So there will be a kind of a fade line, okay, a blurred line between these two, but both the things will be there. Yes, before that it was a kind of we are concentrating only offline. Now we are concentrating on offline, online also. That is the difference.
Right. So dual mode of learning will always be there.
Exactly.
Oleg, your take on mode of learning. I understand biometrics would be a little bit difficult to learn online, but your personal views, your take on this.
First of all, there is no such term like biometrics education. You are not training to be a biometric expert. And right now, if we're talking about the biometrics, especially if we're talking about two main modes like face and voice, there is absolutely two different worlds for these topics. First one is the faces. Right now, if we think about, okay, how many companies in the world do face recognition? It's many, dozens of them. Right now, I think it's more than 1,000 companies globally who are doing this. And first of all, this related to the machine learning approach, because the technologies which are helping to recognize the people, you need somehow to train it. And it's a lot of available data, Facebook, social media. So it's easy to present data set of the faces and to train the model to work really good. At the same time, there is a voice biometric, for example. And right now, to grab the data set of the voices of the people, it's not easy, because in most of the cases, it's some kind of private and personal data, and bank call center will never share these recordings of the real conversations. Some of the companies that are trying to play, for example, with the audio from the YouTube or other places. Why I'm talking about this? It's everything about the data and algorithms. And all the companies who is doing security right now, it doesn't matter they're doing firewalls, antivirus, or biometrics, they're relying on the data scientists and machine learning experts. Data scientists, these guys, they're collecting the data, they know how to structure it and to classify it. On the other hand, there's experts who are working with the machine learning, who are able to take some engine, and they know how to really well train the algorithms to identify something. And if we're talking about online education, and especially about someone here from the audience who are thinking about the biometrics, definitely it's not about, okay, let's find some biometric courses. The beginning will be probably in a machine learning field. And it's more about mathematics. It's not about the cybersecurity. And right now, if we're talking about the shortage of the experts in the cybersecurity, I think in the future, it's a huge shortage will be on the machine learning experts, because machine learning is penetrating all the industries right now, and demand for the experts who know how to train, how to use the different algorithms, not only like deep neural networks, but other technologies. It's growing. And again, it could be another door opener in the area of the cybersecurity for the experts who are really well and educated, even online, in the mathematics and data analysis, and they can switch easily from just the raw mathematics and data analysis to the cybersecurity field, because the demand is here. And definitely, we, for example, we have our own department in the big university, and we're training there, first of all, experts for the machine learning, because they are feeding our technologies from the basis of the data analysis. So, and right now, I think online availability of courses for the data analysis, I think it's so many of them, and definitely it's a good start to spend the time thinking about, okay, are you applicable for this kind of task or no as a student, and it could be a career for you to move in the future.
Thanks, Oleg. So mathematics, one of the subjects which I was very scared of, that also comes in here. Mathematics, statistics. You have to do regression analysis as well to analyze the threats persistent in the organization. Let's ask Colonel Indrajit Singh here. Certain computer emergency response team, the National Critical Infrastructure Protection, I understand they often advertise for jobs. So your take on the job market and what should be the skills that a student should learn?
Yeah, especially when you talk on from the cert and the soft level of jobs. Of course, SOC analysts, very important. Level 1 and level 2, they should be there. Second is people who are trained in the threat intelligence and threat hunting, the red team and the blue team. Those are the kind of skill sets which are very much required when it comes from the third perspective, where they can do the vulnerability assessment, they can do the penetration testing, and if you really break down all those skill sets into the very number of granular part of it. So thereafter you can get on to the the forensics part of it. So those are the skill sets like threat hunting are the ones which will be very important. SOC analysts are very important. Instant response guys are going to be very important. Cyber analyst guys are going to be important. So and also while these are all the cyber skills, definitely the people with the AI, data analytics, and the ML, those also will form part of the overall cyber security skill set. Like one of the panelists was saying that we have a psychologist on board. So it's going to be different kind of people altogether who are going to be part of the cyber security third teams altogether. So huge landscape, huge opportunities, and from the cybersecurity perspective, where everyone can get into it. So there's a chunk of thing which everybody can take home and work on it.
Yeah, to understand hacking, you also need to get into the mind of the hacker. That is very important. Why perhaps Cisco is also utilizing psychologists as such in this field. Let me ask Professor Joydeep Sen here one important question without mentioning your university. Do you think only theoretical knowledge should suffice for a course, or do you need to have some practical aspects, simulations, what happens during an information security incident? That is also something which a student requires to learn.
Extremely important question. And not only cybersecurity, some of the other courses like the panelists have mentioned here, AI, ML, speech recognition for iris recognition, that means next generation authentication systems. I will rename them as that way. None of them are even 1% complete by theories, right? Unless and until they are done using hands-on, and if someone does not do it and face it in the simulated or the real world scenario, real world scenario might not be possible always. So at least in the simulation environment, with the state-of-the-art lab, with the state-of-the-art machines, different areas of specialization, I don't think, not even half of an hacker can be prepared. And coming to the question of hacker and cybersecurity equivalence, I think in order to be a good defense, cybersecurity defense specialist, I think as someone as, I think Indrajit has just now pointed out, or you have pointed out, that you have to have the mindset of a hacker. That means you have to be a good hacker. Essentially, in order to be a good security defense specialist, you have to be a good hacker at the end of the day. And now all of us know that hacking is not possible just by reading books and learning how Windows registry stores what kind of information, how the password is stored, and how you can actually steal them or possibly make some kind of brute force attack, or what kind of attack that you can make. So one can just list down 100 types of attack, but unless and until even one of them are not shown, I think nothing completes. So it just goes without saying that a good course on cybersecurity has to have at least 50%, if not more, right? We believe that it will be more practical than theories, right? Because some of the theories can be better explained by demonstrating things in the lab, right?
Yeah. Thank you, Professor Sen. We are nearing the end of our session. I will just try to push in a few more questions before you start suffering from information overload syndrome. I don't want you to suffer with all that. So let me just try and put in a few questions. Akash, if you can give me an idea of the current laws that are there in the country with respect to cybersecurity. any idea on the current laws that are prevalent in the country with respect to cybersecurity as such?
Well, I am not a law expert, and I'll not be able to give you about the current laws which are there. So, but I can tell you that there are programs available out there where the law graduates or people who are pursuing law, they have a separate specialization to become a cyber law expert. So that is from the law part of it, where you become a lawyer. But at the same time, the law enforcement agencies like the police, etc., they are also, they have their own cyber cells where they have it as a subject and they have it as a specialization. So people who are going to pursue there are also required to understand that law. So from both the perspective, and then the corporate law also, that's required.
Right.
So I'll just take on this.
Yeah, I was about to come to you. Let me give you the question first. Two things. Then one, you can touch upon the laws, and number two, if I'm a normal citizen like me, if I encounter a cyber incident as such, what do I do?
Right.
I'm totally confused. Yeah.
Okay. So as India, we have got an IT Act 2000, and there's an amendment which has come in 2010, 2011, and it is the kind of law which was made then, but it doesn't meet the requirement of 2020 right now. So there's a lot of gap between that time and this time, and then we have one National Cybersecurity Policy, NCSP 2030, which came into place. Followed was that you're seeing a lot of organizations coming up, NatGrid, NCCC, NCIPC, and other organizations which have come up. But it was quite poor. It was not the best cybersecurity policy ever, which one could think of. And now now when we stand today, 2020, any moment we should be having the national cybersecurity strategy this time. It's not going to be a policy. It's going to be the strategy which is going to come up 2020, which will encompass everything, starting from the national level, the cybersecurity structure, your posture, your education, organizations, the deliberations, and the strategy will be very elaborate. Taking into account different segments, whether it's academia, whether organization, your corporate, all put together, government, all of them. And it will also take into account the different infrastructure, like your smart cities, your IoT security, which we spoke of, your critical information infrastructure, which you spoke of, because they have changed in last so many years. So those will be forming part of the national cybersecurity strategy. And if once that comes into play, so you will find a lot of things changing. National Cybersecurity Policy 2013, like I told you, it still kind of was never implemented in total. We are still struggling with it. And as far as the laws are concerned, the electronic evidence law, that is Act 66, 69, 67. So those are the ones which are pretty important from any crime which is happening on the social media or other crimes which you're seeing online. So those are the pretty good to understand and how they happen, because if you are putting anyone on those charges, they have got very strict kind of punishment, but lesser said than done, it's got a lot of voids in its implementation again. Now coming to the other point is that if you have a kind of cybercrime which happens to you, the first thing is there's a site called cybercrime.gov.in. You can go there and register your crime, and that's been monitored quite closely by NCRB, that's the National Crime Record Bureau. So those are the guys who are monitoring it closely. Also, you can go to your cyber cell, right? So each state has got a cyber cell which has come up, and there's a cybercrime team. So you can go file an FIR anytime, whenever there's any incident which is happening. So they will definitely be taking a lot of action. And since I work with a lot of cybercrime teams, so anytime anyone getting any problem, you can approach them.
Yeah, thank you, Colonel Singh. Final question to Kaushikda. Do you want to touch upon a little bit on GDPR or any other laws that are coming up? Maybe your take.
Yeah, so I mean, just to continue with the flow, one thing what I can what I can foresee is that we need a more global kind of rules and regulations or law which can take care of the global issues. Like we have state law, we have central law, and so many other laws. But when it comes to online and you are hacked or you are you are challenged there, then and the perpetrator is sitting in some other country, it is very difficult to prosecute them and bring them to the law. So we definitely need some global initiative to create a international cyber law where the perpetrators as well as the victim are on the same platform. I mean, irrespective of where they belong, if the crime is proved, they should be prosecuted as easily as it happens within the country. So that has to mature, that has to evolve over a period of time. But I see a lot of initiatives taken, like in US you have seen that COPA is though it was launched in 1998, but now it has been refreshed and people are talking about it. GDPR has been enforced, people are following it, and a lot of controls are being introduced by every company to make sure that GDPR is compliant. So and HIPAA is another area where healthcare or privacy data has been challenged. So India definitely needs, being a vast market of healthcare industry, and every healthcare company is now in India looking for opportunity. So I'm sure that we need to come up from a country point of view. We need to come up with a HIPAA kind of equivalent law. So my take is that yes, it is an evolving field, and it is going to be it's a journey. It has no end right now, and not in the near future. So we need to look at it from a continuous point of view.
Right. Thank you,
So
Kaushik.
I like, I'll just add what Kaushik has told. There's a law in India, the data protection law. It was supposed to come in last 2 years. We are struggling to get that law in place. I think it should be also passed as a law. And once that data protection bill primarily that converts into a law, there will be a lot of embargoes on the kind of data localization, your data transfer, and data protection. So all those things will definitely come in place. That's pretty important. So that's the second law what we are just waiting to happen 2020. Like I told you, the National Cybersecurity Strategy, the data protection law, the bill, which is already on the anvil. Anytime that's going to be passed, and it will in fact have a lot of impact on the transfer of data moving out of the country. So all the social media sites who have their data, which is out, they're taking it out, and so it's going to be like the data localization is going to come in place whenever that comes to happen. So one job opportunity while we're talking about the data protection. So every company is going to have a data protection officer in times to come, like we have a CISO or a CIO. There's going to be a data protection officer who's going to be appointed by each and every company. So that's another area which opens up for a job perspective.
Yeah, thank you, Colonel Singh. I quickly went through the questions in the question answer panel. I have found that most of the questions were career related, which have been answered throughout the session as and we carried along with that. Any other questions, you can always put it up across to us personally. We'll share, or maybe you can get in touch with ABP Education. They'll share the questions with us, and we can definitely try to venture and answer that question for you. So with that, we officially come to the end of the panel. I have finished exactly at 5:02 IST, which is not Indian stretchable time, but Indian standard time. So I have finished well in time. So all of you, please stay safe. That's the most important thing. Stay safe with respect to cyber, as well as with respect to maintaining physical distancing. I don't like the word social distancing. We are all socially connected very much. And do please wash your hands, wash your face. And I would like to hand it over to ABP if there's some closing remarks, or we can always say bye.
Great work, Nirupam. Great work.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks,
Thanks
for the wonderful coordination.
Thanks to the panelists, every one of you, for your very valid inputs. I'm not naming each one of you.
Thanks for the wonderful coordination that you have done.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thanks all. Thank ABP.
ABP, anyone coming in, or we say bye here?
Thank you. We will close the session. Thank you.
Right. Thanks a lot. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you,
Okay.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Nirupam,
Bye.
take care
Bye-bye.
of your health.
Yeah.